Thank you so much for joining us today and welcome back to WAMS Webinar Wednesdays. My name is Ashley Lopp, Marketing Manager at WAMS, and today's webinar is all about multi-factor authentication, or MFA, and we are joined by DJ Phung from Duo Security, a leader in MFA and our chosen provider at WAMS. We use Duo both internally and implement it for our clients for an added necessary layer of protection. DJ will explain MFA and the importance of implementing it to keep your accounts and company data safe, as well as show you a demo of just how quickly it works once you get set up. For any of you unfamiliar, I'll share just a little bit about us. We've been around since 1974. We work with small businesses and law firms, and we do specialize in IT for the legal industry. We keep our agreements friendly and always approach contracts with a win-win philosophy. Our team is comprised of experts with certifications in every platform we work with, and as always, WAMS is dedicated to the success of our clients. With that, I'm going to pass it on to DJ.
Thanks, Ashley, and pleasure being here presenting Duo and speaking through multi-factor authentication for the audience here. Like she mentioned, my name is DJ Phung. I'm a partner manager. I've been working with WAMS for a fairly long time here, and really what we want to kind of setting the stage, helping the audience understand, what multi-factor authentication is, what's Duo's approach to multi-factor authentication, and then obviously we want to answer any questions. We will provide a demo and answer any questions along the way. So we will go ahead and get started. So I think, most people understand what multi-factor authentication is, but it's always good to readdress the room. What is multi-factor authentication? And simply put, it is something that you know and something that you have. A good analogy is an ATM, right? So when we want to extract or we want to grab cash out of an ATM, we simply provide a debit card, which is something that we have, but then something that we know is our PIN. So that is a very simplified version of what multi-factor authentication is, and why MFA now? Why are we talking about it so much? We've been talking about it for some time, but why are we talking about it so much now? And a lot of that is due to what we see in the market. Now, this is not necessarily new data, right? This is what we're seeing is breaches in regards to compromised credentials, which happens quite often. And then the devices, what are we, the breaches that are happening within the devices, those compromised devices, and how can we tackle that from an MFA perspective, but then also from Duo security side. And a lot of this is meeting compliance requirements now that you see here. A lot of the compliance requirements now we are seeing insurance, cybersecurity insurance organizations requesting that organizations have multi-factor authentication, even government mandates for multi-factor authentication. So it's something that it's nice to have, but it's also very necessary within the organizations itself these days, and it should be a number one project for your organization. So, we talk about multi-factor authentication. What does it really look like today? What's it look like now, right? It probably looks something similar to this, where you're utilizing multiple hardware tokens to gain access, multiple authentication applications. On the right here is a screenshot of a client we worked with a while back, but they had basically a folder of authenticators. And so, from an end user perspective, right? So if he loses or him or her loses that phone, how do you re-authenticate? Do you know which applications are tied to which authenticator? And so there can be a little bit of confusion there and a little bit of a hassle in regards to managing that from an end user perspective as well. So what Duo's approach is really providing a way to consolidate, right, all of those authenticators, all of those applications, and utilizing one authentication method or MFA vendor, should I say. So Duo's vision, right, around trusted access is day one is providing multi-factor authentication. We were born from security. Now we don't play in the identity space. We don't play in the password management space because we do believe that these things should be siloed. So number one is providing multi-factor authentication. We need to verify who that user is, make sure that they're the right person and privileged to access said application. But Duo is much more than just multi-factor authentication. We're also cataloging the devices that are accessing these applications as well. And we can build policies behind that to make sure that that device is healthy to access these applications and force those end users to remediate their own machines. So it really puts that security mindset in the user's hands. They talked a lot about that at RSA at the beginning of 2020. When I was at the event, a lot of it was educating the users, making sure that the users understand those security configurations and make sure that they have the ability and the power to remediate their own machine. Again, making sure it's consistent across all applications. If it's cloud, on-prem, mixture of the two, we want to provide a positive experience for your users. So I'll show a little bit of a demo of the end user experience. If you haven't seen one already, this is a really good example. So this user comes in the morning, wants to log into their email. You would simply plug in your primary credentials like you would do any other day. Once you hit sign in, this is when you're faced with the Duo authentication or the Duo prompt. You have options in the options in which you want to authenticate, options in which devices you want to use to authenticate. And then even from a self-service perspective, there's a couple of things to the left there, like add new device or changing some of the settings. You can do that from an end user perspective. So I'm going to simply hit send me a push because that's the most common way we're seeing clients utilizing Duo. Once they receive that notification on their device, they're going to open their device. Maybe it's a locked device. You have to unlock the device. That's another policy that we can force on the device as well. And then you would determine, in fact, that it is me, right? By your username, time and location. And once you hit approve, you're simply into that application. So it's very simple and very consistent across all the applications that we support. But we also understand we have to be super flexible for those users. So Duo Push is probably the one way that we see it widely used, right? But we also can utilize soft tokens that are generated by the Duo mobile app. That being said, you can also use the Duo mobile app as a quote unquote Google Authenticator. So any application that doesn't necessarily support Duo, you can still use it for your personal accounts, maybe like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and then all the other methods that we have to offer: SMS, phone call, hardware tokens. What we see a lot now within the community is users using U2F or YubiKeys. I have one plugged into my laptop at the moment. It's a mini YubiKey, and it gives me the ability to authenticate into various applications. And it's a little easier than even grabbing the phone at that point. But we also understand that we have to be super flexible based on the needs of your users. So we mentioned earlier, it's not just multi-factor authentication. It's also having visibility into the devices that are accessing these applications. Now, we're not an MDM tool by any means. We do work with your MDM tools that you have deployed, but this gives you the ability from a single console to understand one, who's authenticating, so reporting on the users that are authenticating, but then reporting on the devices. And then if you have a BYOD strategy, right, in regards to letting them bring their own devices, what policies can you apply to make sure that those devices are healthy? So good example is, I'm on a desktop, I'm using Firefox. I want to gain access into this application. With a policy set to make sure that you're using the latest version of Firefox. As a user, we can warn you. After so many days, you can have a policy to actually block that user, right? So again, this puts it in the hands of the user to self-remediate. And so we go as far as showing you where the documentation is and how to do it. I actually do it quite often for Google Chrome. There's a lot of updates, but it's very simple to walk through that, update Chrome, and then relaunch your applications, and then be able to gain access into the application that's protected with Duo. And we talk about consistency across applications. By no means is this a full list of applications Duo supports. Not to dive into the technical weeds, but any application that speaks Radius, LDAP, SAML, we have an integration into. If you have custom applications, we can also work with those custom applications. Where we see Duo, the primary use case starting out, if you're not using it today, is some type of remote access. So locking down the hosted servers, locking down the machine itself, right? So we understand that a lot more users now are working from the office, but also from home or from coffee shops. Organizations are a lot more flexible now. And the number one use case that we're seeing is locking down that physical machine. So we can apply Duo at that point, and then where we see the second one is really email. And even though Microsoft offers an MFA solution, what we see are clients are having a diverse portfolio of applications that need to be protected. And so by utilizing Duo, you can integrate with Duo into those physical machines, those virtual machines, email, cloud-based applications, and even those homegrown applications that we spoke about earlier. Now, a client that has a wide variety of cloud-based applications, we also offer single sign-on capabilities. Single sign-on is a feature of Duo that's embedded in all license types, all license editions of Duo, but it gives you that single console to access all of your SAML-based applications. That's something that I use on a daily basis. I come in the mornings, I log into my SSO, and then from there I'm able to access any of my cloud-based applications. What's even simpler, we have a policy set in place for those web-based applications. It's a remember me policy, and that's simply saying, look, I don't need to authenticate every second I'm logging out or logging in. I have a 12-hour policy set in place. Now that can be changed, right? 12 hours, 24, whatever you see fit for your organization. And the last piece here is our product line. So what is Duo offering to you as a user? So we start with Duo MFA. I would say 80 to 90% of the use cases will start here, right? As an organization, I require multi-factor authentication. I want to boost my security within my organization. We're going to start with Duo MFA. Duo MFA provides multi-factor authentication for all applications supported on any device for all users with its basic reporting. And basic reporting meaning reporting on the users and how they're authenticating into those applications. So you can use the reporting for compliance or any type of audits. We step into Duo Access. Duo Access is, I would call it a little bit of a sweet spot. They build on top of each other. So Duo Access provides the capabilities of Duo MFA, but this is where we start diving into the devices, right? So we talk about BYOD. From here, this provides us the ability to push out policies to make sure the device is healthy to access, again, that application while still providing MFA. And then Duo Beyond, which is our full feature set functionality of Duo. All of these build on top of that, right? The main difference here is differentiating between corporate and personal devices. So you can go a step further and say, look, I understand you're being challenged with multi-factor authentication, great. The machine is in a healthy state, great. But are you using a home laptop or using a corporate defined laptop? And you can even lock down specific applications by making sure that they are on a corporate device before even multi-factoring into that application. And then a step further is being able to provide an experience, going back to SSO capabilities, being able to provide an experience for the users to access SAML or cloud-based or SAML-based applications while also accessing on-prem applications without the use of a VPN. So that's an additional feature that's included in Duo Beyond, really to provide a seamless experience, being able to multi-factor into this console, this SSO, and access any and all applications that are protected with Duo. So with that, I will take some questions. Are there any questions in the chat box?
Take a look here. Let me see here. Okay, so first question is, I assume that a provider must offer Duo as an option For example, if my bank requires authentication in order to send a wire, I can't use Duo unless the bank offers that as an option. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we have to understand that Duo is always at the mercy of the vendor. I would say in most cases, banks don't have an integration specifically or a protocol that we can use to integrate with them. So if it doesn't speak LDAP, Radius, or SAML, we can't gain access or provide Duo in that manner. Now, if that bank is or financial institution is offering a simple QR code to use your own authenticator, yes, you can use the Duo mobile app, but it would not be documented on the Duo console because there's not a natural integration. And it sounds like that may be more of a personal use case for that, but I'm not real sure.
Okay, and next question, why Duo over any other MFA solution?
Great question. I think, the market is filled with a lot of multi-factor authentication vendors, right? I think what organizations are doing is they're doing the right thing by offering an MFA solution that's maybe specific to their own application, or an offering, say example, Microsoft offering MFA, right? If you're only in that Microsoft suite, it maybe makes sense, right, to just utilize that type of authentication method. But where the true benefit of Duo exists is within diverse application sets, right? So being able to consolidate all of those applications, utilizing a single MFA vendor. And specifically, a big difference between the Microsoft and the Duo piece is users are working from home more often. Microsoft simply doesn't have a way of offering multi-factor authentication for that device. Where we work or we beat Microsoft in that manner, we also partner with them quite a bit because we also have a very seamless integration into the Microsoft suite. So we play more of a partner than anything today.
Okay, looks like we got one more. So how are you handling clients that don't want to utilize the Duo mobile application?
There are organizations, maybe government entities or education accounts or departments that simply won't let you use your personal device, or you simply don't want to download the Duo mobile device or mobile app to be on your phone. That is why earlier we mentioned the flexibility of Duo. Organizations can simply use hardware tokens that Duo offers to provide that one-time passcode to gain access into the application, or utilizing the partnership with Yubico or the use of YubiKeys. So there's other methods that you can definitely use in cases of those situations with those departments that maybe don't allow you to have your mobile device, or you simply just do not want that mobile app on your phone. But you can also use SMS and phone call as an option if you can have that phone in that department.
Okay, great. Let's see here. Looks like we don't have any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you all again for joining us today, and a special thank you to DJ from Duo for teaching us how simple it can be to add a layer of protection to your security solution. We'll see you next time.